What's going on, everybody? It's Eric from livestream.com with another live stream. I have been really slacking on making videos lately, so I apologize for that. I'm going to try to pick up the pace. Hello, everybody. What's up, Caleb, Evil Blonde. We got Glenn Freres in the house. Thanks, everybody, for stopping by. I'm going to show you guys something. It's about this long, fairly rigid, and it's about to unload a bunch of awesome stuff all over this room. I am, of course, referring to this month's BATTLBOX. I'm digging the shape because it makes me think that there might be something like a machete or something like that in there. So it's going to get exciting. We're going to crack into this thing, go over the contents, see what kind of juicy prepper gear we have in here. And also then I'm going to take any of your questions that you might have. Cable, yeah. And talk a little bit about some of the ongoing shit, the fan stuff in the world today, and just whatever we feel like. Axe or pry bar, maybe, that's possible. So let's see what we got. I got a real razor knife today instead of the little baby one. All right. So I'll show you guys what's in this BATTLBOX as usual, and then I'll try to take a guess as to what their theme is. All right. The first item is a outdoor camping, hiking first aid. First aid is always great. It's something that I think a lot of people, what's up, Mag Rising? A lot of people don't actually do enough of. Like, how many of you legitimately have a kit with you in your car or in your house? I've got one in my car. I've got the stuff in my house as well. Now I've got more. Something that is super important because when you think about it, these are the type of preps you're going to need most often. Let's see how legit of a first aid kit this is. We've got acetaminophen, pain reliever, basically Tylenol, aspirin pain reliever, benzoclonium chloride antiseptic, wound wash. That stuff's really good. It's only there's 12 pieces, so they're probably little vials or swabs. Neomycin sulfate antibiotic, citronella oil, soybean oil, insect repellent. Interesting. Lidocaine, topical analgesic, more benzoconium chloride antiseptic, lidocaine HCl. You got sunscreen and isopropyl alcohol. So pretty basic. Oh no, here we go. In the back, we got more too. It says prep pads. We got 15 adhesive bandages of one size, 15 of another, 5 waterproof bandages, 5 butterfly closures, 2 moleskins, tape, sterile gauze pads, and sterile trauma pads. Nitrile gloves, cotton applicators, instant cold pack. There's a lot of stuff in here. Pretty good. And it's lightweight as well. So obviously not for insane kind of trauma pack, but a good actual just mini first aid kit. Soy boy is afraid of the soy bugs. So there must be these macho bugs out there and you're keeping them at bay by dousing yourself in soy. Not my preferred method, but that's what's awesome about out here in the desert. Almost no bugs. Certainly nothing like back in Florida. That is insane madness. Check this thing out. Typhoon match kit. These are some serious storm or windproof matches and a really beefy match case as well. This match kit is ready for any adventure. It's heavy duty construction and sealed strike pad. Keep your Typhoon matches protected and in one place. Those are some serious matches. Look at the size of those match sticks and a big beefy case. A lot of space that it takes up for a relatively few number of matches, but these are some serious matches. Yeah, there are centipedes and scorpions, although I have yet to see either of those. There's just not nearly as much wildlife in general out here. But that is a serious kit. Zippo brand. Water resistant integrated striker pad, which I guess is this on the label on the front there. Pretty serious. I like it. You could also take some regular sized store matches and cram probably a lot more of them in here. Maybe even mix, because these are serious. I like them, but there's just not that many. See if it says how many. 15. So you only got 15 matches in this big of a container is, iffy. Especially because you're considering that these are not, you're getting one fire started per match. And it's probably guaranteed to start it, which is awesome. But consider the number of matches or the number of fires you get started with a ferro rod of that size. Much more difficult, obviously, to start a fire with this. You have to have really good tinder, whereas these matches are going to burn furiously and obviously can start sticks at least that big right off the bat, where this you need tinder, lint, something very able to catch a spark. So I recommend having at least always having one of these, and then additional methods for starting fires like these crazy matches gives you the best opportunity. That way when you need them quick, you just go, but most of the time, you won't waste those. You'll use your ferro rod when you have a chance to set up and start a fire. This, we got some multicam or Marpat. I forget the actual name of which. There's so many different brand names for camo. I'm not sure if this is some kind of hammock or tent or sleeping. It doesn't have any poles in it. It's lightweight. BattleTag bubble poncho liner / blanket / sleeping pad. So you got your whoopee. You guys in the Army, you know what the whoopee is. It's the poncho liner. And it looks like it has some zipper built into it. Oh, they call it the bubby instead of the whoopee. It's their own. The bubby. This is a nice one. So it actually can double as a sleeping bag because it zips into like a tube shape. That's pretty decent. So you can use it as your poncho liner, your whoopee, a super lightweight sleeping bag. I dig that a lot, actually. That's useful, especially for just something like not necessarily a real crazy inch bag or bug out, never coming home or whatever, but maybe some kind of 72-hour bag or get home bag where you're not planning on having to sleep, but you might need to, things like that, or just a kind of a non-shit-the-fan bug or non-widespread shit-the-fan bug out, like in a situation where you might have to leave for weather purposes or something like that, and you just want something to be able to lay down, sleep in a car, sleep in a shelter, sleep in a dirty hotel room, something like that. So it's a poncho liner, blanket, and sleeping pad, sleeping bag kind of thing. Very versatile. Seems like it would be pretty much as comfortable, same material as an old military poncho liner. Pretty good. West Texas Preppers is not a bad starter kit for first aid kit. Yeah, exactly. And honestly, that's not a bad idea, is because for some of the smaller first aid items, like all the stuff that they pack into these little kits, it's kind of expensive to buy just one or two at a time, especially when you factor in shipping and things like that. So it might be a good idea to use one of these as a base and then to individually purchase the larger items like the quick clots, like the Israeli bandages, like your tourniquets, things like that, instead of trying to buy all that in a crazy kit. But you can buy all the, unless you wanted to get them in bulk and piece them out, make first aid kits for a group of people. That might be a good way to do it, is use something like this as a starter and then add on all your serious trauma type apparatuses for a more serious first aid kit. See what else we got. This is all from people who just bounced in. This is this month's BattleBox. Here we have a pretty cool leather portfolio wallet booklet of some kind. It's from a brand called Lord & Field, which I think they make stuff exclusively for BattleBox. It might be BattleBox owned because I've never really seen their stuff for sale anywhere else, but it's always pretty nice looking at least. Very rustic, old-fashioned style, leather, wood, metal, things like that. So this is for like a Right in the Rain type booklet. This feels like just, well, it might be the Right in the Rain paper. It's hard to tell. But this is a really, that smells good. Very classy looking. Obviously, you can put this in here. And then you can either put cards, maybe, or pens or something like that. Not necessarily what you would want for like a bug out bag or something, just because the extra weight of the leather exterior is probably unnecessary. The size and weight. But cool for a EDC or glove box or in your purse or something like that. I think it looks very, very classy. And this is really thick, supple leather. I'm digging it. See what else we got in BATTLBOX. Organic roasted pumpkin seeds, papitas. I thought papitas was fries or potatoes. Because papitas fritas, right? Oh, it's with a PE instead of a PA. What does that mean? Anyone speak Spanish? Because I thought papitas with an A was potatoes. Yeah, sweet Texas barbecue, organic Oregon pumpkin seeds, apple cider vinegar, garlic, cane sugar, chili, tomato, sea salt. It's a good little snack. 9 grams protein, USA grown. Pretty good. Speaking of which, I've actually been, could probably do a, yeah, how you doing, Brian? Papitas would be Spanish for small potatoes. Yeah, with an A, papitas, but this has an E, pepitas. Unless it's just a cursive. No, that's definitely an E, because you can see an A at the end. So, I don't know. Spanish needs work. But I've actually been tracking my macros, trying to get those summer shreds, and it's making me super grumpy. All I want is Chick-fil-A. Pumpkin seed. Oh, okay. Well, that is what it says, pumpkin seed. What's up, Lady T Survival? Doing the latest BATTLBOX. We got seeds. We got a really sweet leather portfolio, whatever you want to call it. We have a mini first aid kit. We got a poncho liner. And we got some awesome, insanely large, serious Zippo blast matches. No Chick-fil-A on Sunday. I know. But I want it every day. So today's the only day I don't have to really be tempted because it's not open anyway. Although I have a buddy, it's somewhere in Georgia and I think a few other places. They're testing some open Chick-fil-A. Some Chick-fil-A's open on Sunday. Which one is the devil's chicken? I don't care whose chicken it is. I will demolish some bird. I love it. I don't normally eat fried chicken though. Chick-fil-A is really the only like breaded fried chicken that I like. Don't eat KFC. Don't eat really Popeye. It's fine. I just don't eat. There's no. It's not necessary for me to get that because it's just a bunch of makes the food a lot less healthy and doesn't really increase. My favorite is just like a greasy rotisserie chicken. That's pretty legit. It's Bastian. We've got some stuff from them before in the battle boxes. Buckles, some cool knives, things like that. Guns equal freedom. Tyrants hate and fear them. I can't agree with you more. We just had a Raising Cane's here open. I thought it was a ripoff. Cane's is out here all over the place, and they're fine, but they don't impress me. Certainly don't hold a candle to the Chick-fil-A. That's a pretty classy looking. Almost looks like a carbon fiber style, like pattern on the handle, brass. Like is that a Damascus pattern blade? I'm not knowledgeable enough. I think Damascus is actually a specific type of steel, or at least a method of making the steel. So I don't know if this is legitimately Damascus or if it's just patterned that way with some kind of coating. I don't know enough about the definitions, but it does look cool. Pretty classy frame lock. Not too heavy. Only got the brass inlay accent, whatever you want to call it, on the one side. Simple blade, nothing crazy. But it's actually not that easy to open because this isn't much of it's not really a thumb stud. So with one hand, it's kind of difficult. But looks cool. I do like it. Operation is smooth. A little difficult to open. Might be easier when you use it for all. That's usually the case. Start out pretty stiff, and then once you open it a few dozen times, few hundred, few thousand times, it'll pop open a little more easily. Sometimes too easily, depending on the knife, but hopefully you wouldn't have an issue with that. Spicy chicken and crisp cut fry. I like the waffle fries, man. Waffle fries are the business. Quit talking about food. What's good at Chick-fil-A? I smash the 12-piece nugget meals. That's what I get. And they have grilled nuggets too now, which are not breaded, but I like the breaded ones. All right, here we go. I think this is the last item. This is what I was wondering. This is what accounted for the shape of the box. So we're gonna have hydrogenated oils. Yeah, seed oils are so bad for you. It's so terrible. I honestly, looking at like the new data that's coming out and everything, I legitimately believe that we will look back as a country, society, or whatever in 25 years at the way we use processed and heated seed oils, the way we look at people using lead cups back in like medieval times. It's that bad for you. Literally, it's pretty much what accounts for the horrible health of modern people, because even if you look back in the 30s, like we eat more sugar. Sugar is definitely bad for you, but they ate quite a bit of sugar back, not nearly as much as we do now. But sugar isn't the biggest difference. It's mostly all the seed oils and processed oils. But so if you eliminate that and sugar, your health will just skyrocket. This is looking pretty cool. Are we thinking it's a pry bar? Are we thinking a shovel? Are we thinking a machete? I think it's none of the above. It has like too many loose pieces in there. Way back then, they lived to 40 years old. I don't know that they were healthy. What, in the 1930s? They weren't living to 40 years old. Give me a break. And regardless of the overall health, obviously medical technology is better, but I'm talking about obesity, heart disease, things like that were certainly lower. Yeah, a couple hundred years ago. What the hell is this thing? Is it like it's like a crossbow or something? It looks like it's definitely something you got to put together. Maybe some kind of chair? Oh shit, it is some kind of crossbow. Check it out. Definitely gonna have to do a video in the backyard with this thing later. Yeah, we got some bolts. Oh, I think it's just a regular bow, not a crossbow. But it's a kit. Oh man. I know Rogue Preparedness is always doing bow shooting videos. I have very limited and explosive tips. No, that's awesome though. The only place I can ever remember seeing those is Rambo 2 or 3. And well, I think he uses them again in Rambo 4 as well. I only cook with Mobile One full synthetic. Yeah, you got to have that kind of viscosity if you want a good some pan-fried fish or something. Full synthetic is the way to go. I think I'm going to need instructions for this thing. Limb pressure goes against riser. So I think it's held together just by the tension of the band, I guess. Survive 55 takedown bow. This is going to get weird trying to put this thing together. I might have to do watch a video or something, because I don't think it comes with instructions. But it's pretty awesome. Check it out. And it looks like it's going to be pretty. Yeah, takedown survival bow. That's pretty sweet. I'm probably not going to try to put that together right now because I have limited space here and these pieces are going to fall everywhere. Stay tuned for the next video. I will put this thing together, probably go out in the backyard or out in the desert, shoot some stuff with a survival bow. Really cool. Definitely something unique. That's what's so cool about these battle boxes, man. Is I would never for a second thought to look at collapsible survival bows. And you've got collapsible arrows too. Obviously, you could use any arrows you come across, even make your own. Looks like they have removable tips. So they have training or practice tips on there right now. You could put broadheads on there. Explosive tips if you can find them. How many arrows? It looks like just 3 in the kit. Obviously, you can bring more of your own. They're very lightweight. What did you miss? I don't know. What did you miss? The takedown survival bow, the Rascal 50 survive 55 takedown bow. So I'm definitely gonna have to put this thing together for you guys, and then go shoot some stuff. See what kind of range we get out of this, what kind of accuracy, things like that. Really cool though. Got here where you're unpackaging the bow. Then then you missed like the other things that you missed. You missed a little first aid kit. You missed a Bastian pocket knife. You missed some pepitas, which apparently means pumpkin seeds. A leather holder for Right in the Rain type booklets, and crazy large survival matches, and a Whoopee poncho liner with a zipper. It can be used as a sleeping bag, blanket. I'm excited to try out this foldable. Hit the thumbs up, guys. Yeah, thank you. Smash the thumbs up. Visions of Dukes of Hazzard. Yeah, I wish I had a old Challenger like that. That would be nice. So that's cool. I'm definitely going to make some videos with this. I'm already planning to go out and do some shooting videos in the desert, so I'll probably bring this too. And I'll probably start in my backyard with this just to make sure I'm on paper, so to speak, and I don't lose arrows. But really cool, and it comes in a a little scabbard type thing that you could strap onto the outside of your bug out bag if you needed to, or just use it on its own. Pretty cool. And like I was saying before, that's why I love these things, because sometimes I would just never even think of this stuff to get. Like a blowgun in a few bags ago, got a collapsible survival bow. Really cool stuff. And stuff that I like, but might not just spend the money on if I didn't, stuff like that. Really cool stuff. Glass matches, first aid kit. I dig it. I dig it, guys. Here we go. It did come with instructions. This is the Rascal Carrier. Do not dry fire this bow or any bow. String bow by bending limbs away from the riser. Incorrectly stringing this bow will immediately result in broken limbs and voided warranty. It's similarly strung to a long bow. Slide the limbs into the riser bracket to pin stop, one on each side. Loop the shorter end. So yeah, here's what you do. Yeah, this is the max level BATTLBOX. It includes everything. So I believe it's around 140, 150, something like that. But it includes the aluminum riser with mounted arrow rest, nylon quiver, one bowstring, detachable fiberglass limbs, and 3 30-inch takedown arrows. This bow is rated at a 28-inch draw. The max draw on this bow is 55 pounds. 35 to 45-pound bows have a max draw of 33 inches. Do not string the bow in reverse. Cool. I'll definitely have to put this together for you guys and do a quick video. Get some string wax and extra strings for it for your bug out bag. Also extra arrows and lots of extra tips. Correct. Yeah, because I mean, even if you you definitely want extra arrows being the main thing. But we'll see if I can hit anything first before I worry about whether I'm going to include this in my bug out bag. But definitely awesome. A little organic snack here. Talking about Chick-fil-A and their delicious nugs. Whew. I could use that right now. But it's Sunday, and also I'm trying to control my eating. So I'm eating weird stuff like yogurt and tuna. Trying to get some shreds, like they say. So what do you guys have questions for today? One thing I wanted to talk about, first of all, next weekend, there will be our video from the Prepper Trifecta, myself, JJ Johnson, and Shay of Prepper Logic. Our next video is about the 5 things, I believe it was, the prepper should stop doing, however we interpret that. I'm going to tell you right now that my list is probably mostly, actually, I'm not going to say anything about it because they may be watching this, and I don't want to, give them any ideas. Have to make them work for it. They can't copy me. But yeah, organic is sort of a buzzword. It doesn't really mean much. So you can say that for a lot of things. But yeah, so it'll be 5 things a prepper should stop doing. And I've actually been doing a list kind of in my head of these things for a while. Yeah, no spoilers. No spoilers. You gotta. And then a week after that, or 2 weeks after that, I forget which one, will be our next live stream. Which I've really been having a lot of fun doing the trifecta live streams with those guys. Really cool. And I really am trying to focus on making more videos in between. I think I've mentioned to a few of you guys, or on one of my live streams, that I started a new job recently. I'm not going to get into what it is or whatever. Doesn't matter. But it's a full-time job, and I had gotten really used to having more time. So it's, even though I'm not wasting my time, once I get home from work, you know, I've been working 40 to close to 50 hours a week, depending. So once I get back from work, and I work out 4 times a week and do cardio a few times, so there's not very many hours left. And when the ones that are the weird times, it's already dark or whatever, and I have other things. I'm trying to get this fishing kit put together, sent out to Amazon, all the other little things that I'm doing. So having to really focus on time management, and unfortunately making videos has been what I've been slacking on. It's not casino security. It's cooler than that, but I'm not going to tell you what it is. I'll tell you this story though. Months ago, I went to get a part-time job at casino security just to make some extra cash and whatnot. I like having a W-2 because it makes starting your taxes a little bit easier. Yeah, definitely I'm stripper. I'm not really sized to be a bouncer. Even though I'm tougher than I look and I've got some skills, I don't think I'd be interested in someone who's only 5'10" and about 170 to be a bouncer. But anyways, I did get hired as a security at a casino a few months ago, and it was a complete joke. Like, I showed up for quote unquote training, and I'm not to the point where I need them to tell me like how to do any particular thing, but I did want to know what their rules were, like what their terms of engagement were, or rules of engagement, because I figured there would at least be a paperwork, a cover your ass type thing where they're like, here's all our rules, and they throw it at you, and then they just stand you by a door kind of thing. They did just do the stand you by a door kind of thing, but then I was like, so what are the rules here? What's the codes we use on the radio? When do I call? Who do I call in this situation? If I see someone grab a bunch of chips off a table and start running, am I supposed to physically intervene? Am I not supposed to physically intervene? Am I supposed to call someone? If so, who? And what do I tell them? All these sorts of questions, just to realize, like, what are the parameters of this job? They did not tell me. They like wouldn't get back to me, like in person. They was like, oh, well, you know, we'll go over that stuff. And then I had one shift, so I was like, this is dumb. I don't know anything. So I sent them like multiple emails before I was supposed to go back in the next shift. Did not even get a reply. I sent like 3 different people emails, not a single response. And I was just like, this is ridiculous. Was literally about a almost exact year after the huge shooting out here, one of the biggest, if not the biggest, most fatal shooting in American history. And it was in this town at a casino. And you guys can't even tell me like what your basic rules are, what I'm allowed to do, what I'm not allowed to do, what I'm supposed to do, things like what your codes are for the radio and all this stuff. And I'm just like, this is a fucking liability. You guys should be ashamed of yourselves, and I'm not coming back. So I worked 1 day at that job. It was a fucking joke. Do you run into a lot of rough people while out on the strip, or is everyone pretty chill? I haven't been to Vegas in a long time. There's just a ton. It's like any other crazy tourist place when you go there. It's just wall-to-wall people. So you'll get a lot of drunkards and goofballs and stuff, but I mean, it's not like a rough crowd per se. It's a tourist crowd. Lots of families, lots of drunk people, but overall, it's not like a scary place. There's just too many people. I mean, that in its own itself is scary in certain ways, but it's not like shady in general, shady place. You know, it's very commercialized. It's actually more kind of family friendly now than it was 10 years ago or whatever. They're definitely shifting more towards being a venue for food and shows, with the gambling kind of being secondary, more so than being primarily a gambling place and then also having these things. So it's not Colfax in Denver. I've been to Denver, but I don't remember if I've been to Colfax or anything like that. No, you can't. I'm not going to tell. I'm going to say no to any guesses about what the job is. So you can keep guessing, but I'm going to say no even if you get it right. So, which is not necessarily have any particular reason that I wouldn't share things like that. I just don't. I just don't like giving unnecessary information about myself or my life. This doesn't matter. I don't see any way that it would be beneficial for me to give out more information than necessary. So that casino was actually the Hard Rock Casino, which interestingly enough is being bought out by Virgin, like Virgin Mobile, Virgin Galactic. So it will no longer be the Hard Rock Hotel and Casino after all these years. It will be Virgin Hotels Las Vegas. Best place to eat in Vegas depends on what you like to eat. There is tons of places here, man. It's actually insane how many restaurants there are here. And I get stuck going to like the same few places over and over again because I'm like choice paralyzed. A Walmart receipt checker. That's it. You got it. Have you thought of building out a camper type van to make a bug? Hell yeah, I've thought about that. Getting like a 4x4 converted like Quigley style van rigged up like that would be like a dream. That's amazing. And not just for bugging out, but for camping, for traveling. That would be amazing. I would love that. Just a cost issue. My guess is that he works as a part-time gastroenterologist and fills extra hours with side jobs in the CIA. That sounds about right. I actually train zebras because, you know, they use them like horses in other countries, other parts like Africa and things like that. But the horses can't survive on a limited amount of water. So we train zebras to do it. I have not been to Front Sight yet. They've been very expensive. I've heard they're working on making some cheaper courses and things like that. 5 stops. 1, stop procrastinating. 2, stop overeating junk food. Stop sitting, get up, stretch, exercise. Stop talking, get out and hike camp. Stop being negative, B+. Are you talking to me? Because I'm definitely not overeating or eating junk food. I don't actually sit almost at all. And other than when I make these videos, I exercise. I lift weights 4 days a week and do cardio several other days a week. And I'm one of the most positive people on the planet. So, yeah. But in general, those are great rules for life. That's why I do it. And stop being negative is a huge one, man. People have no idea how much it fucks you up, even unconsciously or subconsciously, to be around just negative people. And I'm not talking about like people who are suicidal or, oh, woe is me, but just that little bit on the negative side of just their overall energy and being like, instead of saying, what can I do? They always have a reason why they can't do things, focus on the bad, just like, oh, that's not going to work if you do that. Oh, this, you know, like just that will shut down your entire fucking being. I'm relatively close to Henderson, but Vegas is not that geographically large. Like you can drive especially with the way the roads are set up, you pretty much drive anywhere, and even if you're on totally opposite corners, maybe 40 minutes. Stop living in California. Probably a good idea. Taxes are terrible. Gun laws are terrible. You're in bat country out there. Yeah, there are bats out there. When we are out at some of these fields for like kickball and goofing off and things like that, you can see the bats flapping around, eating the bugs. Pretty cool. Although if you get bit, you got to go get a rabies shot right away. Because one thing I didn't know, I have friends who are like epidemiologists and work for the CDC and things like that. I had no idea like how serious rabies is. Like if you get rabies, you're fucked basically. Like there's no cure, you're dead. Like there's just like it's almost impossible to survive it. If you basically get to the point where you're having symptoms and things like that, it's over. And bats are a big vector for that. Yeah, rabies is serious bad news. Yeah, I know Backcountry references some Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas, and they also referenced it in a Avenged Sevenfold song. I think they referenced that movie. I think the song is called Backcountry, isn't it? Or something like that. Painful shots in the stomach. Yeah, rabies is serious business. My late ex-husband was the most negative person I ever saw. I put up with him 19 years. I could have killed him and did less time. That's true. Nothing ever made him happy, and he bitched about absolutely everything. Yeah, that's just, it brings you down. And then people, like, not even necessarily negative in the fact of, like, saying bad things, but just saying, like, oh, that's not going to work, or, oh, or it's always going to be like this, or you're never going to be able to do this, or you can't do that, or that doesn't work, and all this stuff like that. Like, this is just water. What are you drinking? I'm just drinking water right now. Like I said, I'm tracking my macros. So everything I drink, I'm like, oh, I drink this. I got to write down 3 carbs. And this makes it's just easier to drink water and not drink anything. Yeah, it definitely makes a happy person to cut out that kind of negativity. One interesting thing I wanted to talk about, prepping related, is what's going on in Venezuela with the total power outages. It's basically a legitimate shit the fan scenario down there. Extended power outages, crazy shit going on. I've been trying to get more information. Haven't been able to do a ton of research on hearing from people who have been there, because this is a good case study for like what happens in a relatively developed country. This isn't like a third world country or something like that, although it might be soon. I guess you'd consider Venezuela like a second world country. I don't know. And but I mean, like, these are cities. This isn't like you're in the jungles of Cambodia or something. Like, they're real cities, modernized cities, and they've been without power for weeks now at this point, at least sporadically. So I really am trying to get some information on what's happening, like in hospitals, how are people handling their jobs and going to work if they still have them, food situation, what kind of rule of law breakdowns have there been, what's it like. So we might see some really interesting information come out of this at the end. People who've lived through it, sort of in the way that Fairfall, a modern survivalist, wrote his book Surviving Economic Collapse based on his living through a legitimate economic collapse in Argentina. We might be able to get some really useful information on what it's like in these kind of situations, a real shit the fan extended power outage in a modern country, and in relatively recent history. It's happening right now. Russians to the south, China building. Yeah, Venezuela is fascinating. I believe that Colombia is having a huge immigration problem with refugees. The interesting thing is to note that while it is basically breaking down there, they have no power in a lot of areas for long periods of time. It is not what most preppers would consider a complete shit the fan, or certainly not a WROL situation. And this is what I've talked about a lot. Like, this is the way a lot of things are going to happen, most likely, barring something crazy like an EMP, a solar flare, a nuclear war, massive pandemic, something like that. Shit hit the fan scenarios are going to be fairly localized. And although serious, you're not going to even have the benefit, if you could call it that, of having it be actually WROL. So you're going to have some laws and stuff being enforced, probably even more ruthlessly than they were before, but other laws, ones that are helping other people harass you. So like petty crimes probably going to go through the roof, muggings, things like that, violent attacks, but you're still probably not going to be able to walk around with a full battle rattle and an AR based on the gun laws. The police will see that and shut you down, but they're not going to bother going after the petty criminals who are smashing into your house, breaking your car, mugging you, things like that. So you have to be ready for the worst of both worlds almost, in my opinion, for a realistic shit the fan scenarios. I also think it would be pretty hard to get to a total no law situation. And I've talked about that before. I think what it would take would be a massive, widespread, incredibly widespread grid down scenario. So even when you have a big city like that, like Caracas or wherever they're having power lost in Venezuela, the entire country isn't without power or without infrastructure. Same thing in the US. So if you had massive, like multiple states or huge areas, extended power outage over the whole country, that would certainly cause a problem. A lack of communication ability could certainly also cause it if you had like an EMP and the radios weren't working, or something that caused a massive population loss. So even if there were, nothing damaged in the infrastructure per se, if there was a pandemic that killed off 30, 40, 50% of the people, that would cause a collapse in and of itself, just because there wouldn't be enough people to do the things that needed to be done to run the power plants, to keep the trucking and the delivery stuff going. So that could cause it as well. But I think the only real major way that would happen is that it would have to be serious, a grid down over a wide area. And luckily that doesn't happen very often. Russia was also just allowed to fly over the United States from Montana, I think, per an agreement of some sort, which is reciprocated from what I understand. Why do they need to fly over us? Who knows? I mean, I'm not worried about Russia. Russia's only a beef if we make it with them, like if we make one with them. That's one of the reasons it's so good that Hillary Clinton did not get elected, because I think we would already be at war with Russia, which is unnecessary. They are not necessarily an ally per se, but they're not an enemy, and we need to not treat them like that. Trust but verify, always, with everything. That's the way to do it. Trust but verify. Trump will shut down the border this week. I hope so. I'm really happy to see that he cut off foreign aid to these countries that are just letting people, thousands of people pour into our. We should be shutting off foreign aid regardless. I think we should be sending out $0 in foreign aid. We are tens of trillions of dollars in debt, and we're giving away money to other countries, which makes absolutely zero sense. Regardless of what the country is or why we're giving it to them, we don't have it. That money is literally being stolen from the American people in the form of the reduced purchasing power of the dollars, the existing dollars, because they're just printing money to do this. It doesn't exist. They don't have it. There is not enough money to do all the stuff that they're doing. So it should be stopped regardless, not necessarily just because of immigration, but certainly when you have other extenuating circumstances, like these countries don't give a fuck about us. They're going to let everyone come over here and not do anything about it. At least we can just, okay, fine, take them off. Yeah, America first. That shouldn't even be a controversial statement for a country to say, we're going to put the interests of our own country members before the interests of other countries first. It's no different than a family member or two parents saying, I'm going to feed my kids before I worry about feeding other kids. Not only is that not a wrong thing to do, it's a complete correct thing to do. It is the moral thing to do, and it's certainly the logical thing to do. I really do hope that they close the Mexican border. I live in El Paso. It does need to be closed. Yeah, definitely. I absolutely agree, and I hope they do so as well. If I'm not mistaken, there was a court, or what was it? It was either a court ruling or Trump vetoed. Either way, why can't I talk today? The national emergency regarding the border stands now. Like it didn't get shut down by the courts. It got either overruled by another court. Let me try to look that up because I don't remember exactly what it was. Either the Congress or somebody tried to vote on it and he vetoed it. Nationally, I'm getting my terms mixed up though. Trump declares a national emergency. Oh yes, that was a big one too. Where I think that's what I'm getting confused. Is the California ban on magazine capacity was struck down as being unconstitutional, which is a rare win in the gun rights battle. And it's completely obvious. Like we all know all these rules are unconstitutional, but it's very rare for them to be enforced, or at least not enforced, but to be ruled on that way. Because now, what does that mean? That means that most of the gun restrictions similar to that would be unconstitutional as well. I mean, obviously, the bump stock ban is unconstitutional as well, and I disagree completely with Trump doing that. But this goes back to what I've said. Yeah, exactly. It is unconstitutional. Yeah, exactly. But you preferably not have to resort to civil disobedience and potentially end up in prison. It's much better when they recognize that these are unconstitutional. We also had Missouri Supreme Court pass a resolution, I guess, for lack of a better word, to where they will be ignoring any federal restrictions on gun rights that are unconstitutional, which is amazing. Every state should do that, obviously. But anyways, like I said, I think I mentioned this back when I was making my predictions about Trump even winning before he had or right after he had, that this was a great thing, but he is primarily a pragmatist. He's not necessarily a extremely far right or extremely conservative person, so that he's going to be making decisions that aren't based on that same ideology. He's not primarily ideologically based, which is very good in most situations, but it also means that he's not going to, fight to the death on certain issues that someone like myself might, when I would have a much harder line, much more distinct line in the sand when it comes to things like gun rights, things like that, where he sees this as being a non-issue, where in a practical sense, bump stocks aren't really a big issue. I don't even own any, and they're not a big concern in a literal sense, but in an ideological sense, whereas these are constitutionally protected, there is absolutely no reason why they should be illegal, yada, yada, yada. So my point was, he's going to be doing things that might upset us because he makes these decisions based on pure pragmatism, not necessarily on the ideology that we share. Binary triggers are still okay, and most people think they tend to work better anyway. The bump stocks are kind of a gimmick, whatnot, but that's even all the more reason not to give that ground when it doesn't even matter, because you're not going to appease these people. That's the one thing I've tried to make absolutely clear. Same thing with arguing about the definition of an assault rifle. Wasting your breath. It does not matter. These people want to get rid of everything. We have people you see in England or UK just recently, they're putting forth resolutions to try and put passive RFID trackers in the handle of every single knife in the UK, which is absolute madness. Obviously, stupidity doesn't make sense, but there is no end to this. It doesn't stop at assault rifles. It doesn't stop at bump stocks. So why even give them up that ground? Even if it's ground that doesn't matter. If they're not going to stop there anyway, there's no point to make any concessions. Absolutely. Yeah. The House Dems failed to override the Trump veto over border emergency. Exactly. Okay. So he vetoed them saying that the national emergency was not legit. He vetoed that and they could not overcome it. So the national emergency stands. Basically, we're at now, the national emergency stands. People would resort to kitchen knives to stab people. Yeah, I mean, it's obviously it's illogical. You don't even need, I mean, they're talking about even kitchen knives. They've already tried to make rules about kitchen knives not having sharp points, and they want the RFIDs to be in the kitchen knife handles as well. Doesn't matter because you could just take the handle off. You could make a rudimentary, or you can make an exceptionally good knife out of a lot of things. You could take the leaf spring off a truck and make a pretty sweet blade if you just have an angle grinder or a mini forge or something like that. There's all sorts of things you could make knives out of, or stabbing weapons. It doesn't matter. It wouldn't stop anything. Exactly. They just make their own. They'd steal them, take the handles apart, wrap it in aluminum foil so you couldn't get a reading on it. It just doesn't matter. What's up, Hawkesbury Rider? Sheriffs in Colorado opposing red flags working through the state legislature. Good. The red flag laws are absolutely unconstitutional as well. Those hopefully should get tested in court and fail. So I think we're definitely seeing at least some pushback on the gun rights stuff, which is awesome because we cannot afford to give them any ground in that arena. There's just no point. Like I said, there's absolutely no point to concede any ground there. ATF does not have jurisdiction over accessories and they still ban them. Yeah, I mean, the government's never let the law get in the way of the way they do things. The whole innocent until proven guilty thing should defeat red flag laws. Absolutely. It's a complete lack of due process. There's zero due process there. You're getting a government punishment, you know, a conviction basically, even when there hasn't been anything other than an accusation. Not even, sometimes you're not, these people haven't even been charged with anything, let alone convicted. It's simply just an accusation. They might not have even ever been arrested or anything like that, depending on the specifics of the laws. So absolutely, absolutely unconstitutional. Same thing with civil asset forfeiture and things like that. I think luckily we're seeing a lot of, I mean, Trump's been good on some of the prison reform stuff. He has spoken positively about civil asset forfeiture in the past, which is disappointing. But in general, the mood of the country is very much against that. So Trump should shut down most federal agencies, in my opinion. It's a bloated, disgusting bureaucracy, just like everything else in the government. It's gross. But yeah, if you guys have any questions, like I said, for those who were not in here earlier, started a new job recently, so I've been a little bit having difficulty squeezing in making some videos. I'm going to try to figure out when I can do that. But like I said, when I'm working 8+ hours and then working out 4 days a week, doing cardio 2 to 3 times a week, and then you work in all your chores and grocery shopping and all that stuff. It's hard to find time, especially when it's light out or whatever, to do anything. So if you guys had a choice, let me know if you would be more interested, if you would rather me just be making videos, period, even if I'm just sitting here talking, or if you'd rather wait a little while longer in between videos and have them be outside, be a little better, things like that, or if you'd rather me do 3+ videos a week and just have most of them be talking. So let me know. If you haven't caught a fish with the fishing kit, I've just been putting them together. There's not really a lot of places to fish out here, but my goal, I'm going to finish packing them up as soon as I finish this live stream. I have 15 of them completed. I'm going to be planning on shipping out about 50 to 75 to Amazon either Monday or Tuesday, and then another probably 10 to a few people who are going to do some reviews on them. So the initial run is going to be incredibly limited. So I'm only guaranteeing to have about 50 to 75 of the kits that will be available for sale immediately. But I am probably going to have a period of time for the survival fishing kit, where I got all this stuff in here, where I'm gonna have a Shopify store as well, and you'll be able to buy what's the word? Where they're out of stock, you can still purchase. And I'll probably do something where I say anyone who orders within this time period, even if I don't have them made yet, I will promise to at least complete those orders, and then I might not make them again after that. It's a lot of work to be making these pre-ordering. Thank you. I don't know why I couldn't think of the pre-order. So I will have 50 to 75 available for immediate sale on Amazon, and then I'll probably be taking pre-orders or out of stock orders on Shopify, but only for about a couple weeks. And then depending on how many orders I get, I may never make them again. It depends, because it is a lot of work. But if they really start selling like crazy, you know, obviously, I guess I will continue to make them. Let's see if we got some questions here. Visit Shay. He knows the secret fishing holes make video. Yeah, that would be awesome. Love to do that. Yeah, I've been doing it as an assembly type thing myself, but it still takes several minutes. I'll have a bag of something like this, like all the little hooks or all the little weights. So I have to put these together by hand from all the different sizes. And then once I have the individual baggies of everything, then I have to put them into the tin, put the fishing line in there, you know, seal it up and everything. So that, just that alone, putting all the little baggies into the kit and closing it up takes about 2.5 minutes per tin. And so filling each of these bags in, so, you know, it's a lot of work. Did you hear that California lifted the standard capacity magazine ban? I did. We just talked about that. They didn't necessarily lift it. It was shut down as being unconstitutional, which is awesome. It's very true. Very truly is unconstitutional. Talking head videos are fine. I'd like to see more videos of product demos or other higher production quality topics. Yep, that's the plan. Appreciate the input. Can you get your wife, girlfriend to help? Yeah, I'll be getting, if depending on how well they start selling, I could always pay someone to do it, you know. I just don't want to do that now because I'm not sure if I'll even sell more than 10 or 15 of them. And so I don't want to invest any more money into it, because I already have, it's cost quite a bit of money to put all this stuff together, because once you factor in ordering samples, some of it doesn't work. So then you got to get more, than buying certain items in bulk, and buying different storage capacity and equipment, buy stickers, all sorts of stuff. So it's adding up. You now can own 30-round standard capacity mags. Yeah, it's very good. Necessary, absolutely. That hopefully should become the standard for the country. Any knowledge in USGI green lasers? Is that for like surveying lasers and things like that? Appreciate it, Lady T. I will let you know. If it's not someone who's local, though, it might be more of a pain or more of an expense to have to ship all the stuff to somebody. You know what I mean? How much are you planning on retailing the fish kit for? I'm probably going to start at $25 on Prime, so that would be with free shipping. That is my thoughts on the matter at the moment. Might change a little up or down depending, especially if I have to end up paying someone to put them together. But the initial run will be no more than $25. And it's far, far and away. Like, there's a Walmart one that's like $15 and has like 50 feet of line. And mine has 80 meters of line in it. What kind of rod for the fishing kit? Is not going to have a rod to keep it in, you know, totally small. It's all, the whole thing is going to fit in this 120 milliliter tin. So you'll get the line. You have to either make a cane pole out of a stick, or you could use like this tin or a stick or something to wrap it around, things like that. You have a lot of options, obviously. It's for emergency situations, obviously, not for recreational fishing. You could have this stuff drop shipped to me, then when complete, I can get UPS. Yeah, I'll look into it. I appreciate the offer. We'll see. I'll see if it makes sense, and if it is, I will contact you. Hand line, yeah, you could wrap it in your hand. You can use it, like I said, with just a long stick. All sorts of options, but there's everything you need in here to do rudimentary fishing or pretty basic fishing of any kind. Appreciate it. Yeah, so I'm interested to see what the reviewers think of these things. I contacted about, I don't know, let me see, 5 or 10 people that I'm going to send this to, have them review it. And I'm actually legitimately curious to see what they think, because I've gone fishing. Obviously, I've fished before. I enjoy fishing, but I'm not a fishing expert or fishing aficionado of any kind. I don't fish all the time, especially not out here in the desert, even though I do really enjoy fishing. So I'm interested to see what other people think of the kit and how it's put together, things like that. So I will let you guys know whenever any of these people make. I think I've got at least 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, about 9 or 10 people who have already agreed to do it. And I don't want to do more than that in the beginning, because like I said, if I'm only going to have a guaranteed 70 or 80 available for sale, there's no point in having 20 or 30 people doing reviews on it. A fishing aficionado. I'm good at drinking beer part. I'm also good at that part. That's what they say. If you give a man a fish, you fed him for a meal. If you teach a man to fish, he'll sit in a boat and drink beer all day. I've watched the guy Crazy Russian Hacker. I have seen a couple of his videos, but I've not subscribed to him. Sanding fishing eats time, but no eat. Sand fishing eats time, but no eat. I don't know what that means. Would you be a personal bodyguard for the rich and famous? Sure, I would do that, depending on the pay. And if there's someone who's, I'm not the type of person who can just do any job, regardless of how much the pay would be. So if it was someone who is like really mean to their staff or something like that, I would just be like, nope, I'm out. I don't deal with that shit. And that's hamstrung my earnings in the past because I'm much too ready to just be like, all right, well then I'll stop working here if I don't like the situation or whatever. No fish in the sand. Yeah. Except in Jaws 4 or something, he comes to the sand. Such is great. I've followed him for a while. I think he subscribed to me actually, which is really awesome. And he does a lot of, he was one of the first like review channels. Like his style, good stuff. Yeah. I don't actually follow a ton of prepping channels. And like I've mentioned recently, I don't even have time to make my own videos. I've really been hamstrung in terms of watching videos. I just don't have time to watch all these people's videos all the time now. It sucks. But some of them I can listen to while working sometimes, but I can't watch them. Speaking of which, I got some really sweet headphones that are like, they're called bone conduction headphones. So they don't cover your ear. They rest like right in front of your ear here. And you like basically hear through the vibrations in your skull or inner ear, similar to how they used to have those like lollipops. And when you would bite on it, you could like hear the music. They work sort of the same way. The benefit being that your ear is uncovered. So you can still hear people talking. They're good for like running by the side of the road and things like that. You can hear what's going on. Certain places where you work and you're not allowed to wear headphones, you can sometimes still wear those because their ears are technically uncovered, things like that. What type of medicine do you recommend for bipolar and depression after shit the fan? I am not a doctor or medically trained, so I can't recommend any type of things like that. But I will say that they're starting to discover that a lot of depression may be related to gut biome and inflammation, so that trying things out with your diet and making sure you're getting sunlight, exercising, as lame and as kind of basic as that stuff sounds, it can really help a lot of people. In terms of bipolar, who knows? Depends on what's actually causing that. Maybe they're inflammation related for people as well, in which case cleaning up your diet, avoiding processed foods and seed oils, and getting good cultures of bacteria back in your gut helps out a lot with that stuff. Making sure you're working out and doing resistance training, getting sunlight, getting good sleep. This stuff can work wonders for a lot of people, because it's crazy the way that people, like, they work at a job they don't like, they hate it, they don't have good relationships with anyone, they're not getting any sun, they're not getting outside time, they're not doing anything towards their goals, they're eating absolute garbage, they're not exercising, they're not having sex with anyone, at least not anyone they care about, and then they're also like, oh, I'm depressed. Like, fucking no shit, you're depressed. Who wouldn't be depressed in these situations? You got to change that shit. But I'm not willing to say that there is zero instances of depression being related to actual just genetic brain chemistry or things like that, because there's probably some. But I don't think it's a coincidence that, as we're seeing like all this rise in unhealthy food and obesity and just the like cubicle culture and the hostile nature of relationships between men and women these days in general, that like suicides and depression is going up in conjunction with that. Being single sucks. It depends. I mean, there's benefits to everything. A lot of people are, I don't understand. I would much rather be single than be shackled with some sort of a horrible harpy who's just controlling all the time. Like, they're not having sex with these people anyway, and they're still just like getting berated by them all the time, or they, having to worry about what they think. Ugh. The Lord Among Us self-defense classes, Vegas. That would be fun. I don't think I'm an expert level enough that I should be teaching classes, but I certainly enjoy self-defense. No problem. Being out and active really helps with both those issues. Seriously, I actually have, I was going to make a video on like a 5-minute cure for quote unquote depression. Because even though I'm not necessarily talking about clinical depression, but they've actually done a study with, there's like a positive feedback cycle. Like if you stare at yourself in the mirror smiling, that like you feel way better after like 3 minutes, just because of the physical act. Like the body works both ways in the sense that your emotions cause certain physical changes. Like if you're sad, you'll be frowning and slouching, but it also kind of works the other way too. Like that if you frown and slouch, you'll start to feel sad, and vice versa. So you smile and stand up straight and everything when you're happy. But if you stand up straight and walk and smile, you start to feel happier also. That works both ways. And so if you do that, like the Conor McGregor, like billionaire strut, and just cheese it and listen and go outside in the sun and then listen to, I have like 5 or 10 songs that are really like upbeat and happy. And you do that for like 20 minutes. It is literally, it's like impossible to be sad after like doing that for 10 minutes. Now, it might not necessarily last long if you're like in crippling debt and your mom's dying or something like that. But I mean, in general, it'll totally change your frame of mind in the moment, at least. Happiness is a warm machine gun. That's one way to look at it. Certainly is fun. Spiritual things also help against depression. If you believe in religion, how can you see your other half coming to? Can you see your other half coming into the bathroom and see you grinning like an ape at yourself in the mirror? Yeah, dude, I do all sorts of stuff like that, and I'm just like, I don't bother trying to explain it. Like I said, watch the look up the billionaire strut, because Conor McGregor does it, Vince McMahon does it. You walk around like you've got like 2 kettlebells swinging between your legs. Exaggerated arm movement, just cheese it, lean back, act like you're being pulled through the air by like your belt, and listen to some crazy upbeat music, and then just stroll around in the sunshine, and you'll feel fucking amazing, man. It's hard not to, especially if you're eating clean, working out. It's great. There's a couple songs I'll have here that I'll tell you that are on my playlist for walking and running, which are the super upbeat, happy songs. Because some people, you have to pay attention to lyrics too. Some people pay attention really closely to lyrics, so the lyrics might actually be negative, even if the song is happy. I don't really listen to what the lyrics are saying. It's more about the flow of the song for me. But Praise You by Fatboy Slim, Mr. E's Beautiful Blues by the Eels, That Old Pair of Jeans by Fatboy Slim, Primal Scream, Loaded, Good Morning by Max Frost. Those are all a couple songs that are good to play while you're doing your billionaire strut and grinning and walking down the road in the blazing sun. Anyone make their own shit the fan food? Depends on what you mean by make. You're talking about canning. Canadian Prepper just recently did a video on freeze drying your own meats and things like that, which is awesome if you have the initial ability to plunk down on a freeze dryer. I noticed people got one. It's a freeze dried stuff is super expensive to buy, but it's the best way to store things like meats, cheeses, which are also very expensive to get, and when canned and things like that are not the same. Like you can store like raw bacon or raw steak freeze dried if you wanted to. Yeah, I also don't. Yeah, who hears lyrics? Actually, I've been having to go to the VA for a lot of hearing stuff. I have let's just put it this way, I have a good ear, so, but I don't really have a howitzer excuse. I'm not even sure if it was from the military. I mean, I guess it was, but who knows? But what was I talking about? Oh, making food. So yeah, freeze drying is great. If you can get a group of people together, maybe like 10 people, each plop down $500 to buy one of these harvest rate freeze dryers, then you can just pack away tons of freeze dried food. It's super lightweight, tastes really good when reconstituted, and it's pretty much the best way to store fruits, vegetables, certain types of vegetables, but certainly fruits, meats, cheese, things that are actually the hardest to get normally for long-term storage. That's the best way to do it. It was LT. CPM freeze dry was a good bid. Yes, it was. Spiritual thing. Okay, what do I miss? Anything? Saw it. Awesome. Who are you referring to? I have a black belt in BJJ. You're welcome to come train if you're ever in Oklahoma. I'm not ready to train with a black belt. I've rolled with brown belts before, and that is enough to crush your spirit. Even purple belts and stuff, if they're bigger than you or whatever would destroy you. That's one of the things that, man, I've been talking about timing. I really want to get back into doing jiu-jitsu, and I want to start doing Muay Thai as well, or at least boxing. But it's bizarre how many of the gyms, even here in Vegas, all their classes are still kind of clustered between like 8 to 6, and I work 9 to 6. So it's like there's really no time. It's really hard to find times to go. But yeah, it'll be a while before I'm ready to competitively roll black belts. That is quite an accomplishment, sir. I salute you for being a black belt in jiu-jitsu. I never got belted because I always trained no gi. At my peak, I could roll competitively with blue belts, but I never got actually belted. And now it's been years since I did any actual, like, multiple times a week training, and I'd love to get back into it. It's true. I used to work as a captain for a state prison and walk the yard with a huge smile on my face and sprint in my step. Yeah, exactly, man. It really just affects your brain chemistry. Your kung fu skills are weaker than my grenade launcher. That's true, but in some situations it's irrelevant. Like they say, God created all men, Sam Colt made them equal. But that doesn't mean that being a badass in all forms of self-defense is not a massive, massive advantage. Listening to Rascal Flatts now. I saw someone freeze dry some coconut cream pie, and they raved how good it was. They sliced it in about inch-wide slices. Yeah, you can freeze dry almost anything. It's crazy, and it's probably one of the best ways to like maintain taste and texture when it's reconstituted. Like you really can't even tell a lot of times, versus like canned chicken or something like that, or canned beef. It's just always a little not quite as good, and it's heavy, really heavy to have canned goods, including all that water. Where did you get those jerry cans surplus store? These were from Amazon. These are water, high density, I think this is polyethylene, HDPE water cans. These were from Sportsman's Guide. They are metal jerry cans. So yeah, I mean, technically it's a surplus store. I really want to get the Spectre fuel cans, which are made out of the same sort of material, but they're made for fuel cans. They don't make them anymore, as far as I know. And I think the reason, at least not in the U.S., I think the reason is they've made different regulations about the type of lid that you have to have for fuel cans. So I'm looking into like water cans that are made the same way, because I don't think there's any particular reason. I'd have to make sure, because you don't want to store gas in something that's, yes, Scepter's a Canadian company, but you don't want to store gas in anything that is going to obviously eat through it or anything. But I believe this is water. These are fuel, metals, fuel. These are empty right now. I don't store gas inside my room, but that's the type I use for gas storage. But I don't think there's any particular reason why you couldn't put gas in this type of can, and they're much cheaper than buying the Scepter cans. But the problem is they don't really make the same spouts for these, so it's harder to put them into your vehicle. So if you could use these, which I'm not saying you can, because I would have to research it first, but I think you can. You could always have a can like this, but you'd have to do a 2-stage thing where you poured it into that can and then use the spout, you know. But these are only like $30. Where the Scepter cans are like $100 if you can even find them. Any plans for a video bug out trip? I'd like to do some yeah, all sorts of stuff like that. All right, this guy is getting blocked. If I can figure out how to do it. Is it just hide user on this channel? Is that blocking? Is that a permanent block? I guess so. All right. Trolling. Do they make a hippo can? They do make a hippo can. You can store water, food, clothes, dry goods, and roll it around like a wheelbarrow. I saw that, yeah. Epicenter Brian is a great freeze drying channel. That's cool. Yeah, the freeze drying is fantastic. It just is a huge cost barrier to entry, an initial cost barrier to entry. But after that, it's relatively inexpensive. You just have a little bit of cost of electricity, and then the cost of the actual meat and stuff that you're freeze drying. But you could amortize it. Like like I said, that would be a great thing for like a church group or a prepper or a mutual aid group or something to pool together. And then you could even rent out time on it, or, sell the stuff. What handgun do you recommend for someone balling on a budget? I would look into the police surplus 40 caliber Glocks. I prefer 9mm to 445 to 40 cals in general, but the 40 calibers, there's so many of them out there that you can get basically brand new ones. They were previously owned by police, barely used, but they'd be less than $400 a lot of times, and it's a Glock. And they're great guns, barely used, for like 300, 350 bucks. That's what I would get. If you're talking about even more of a budget than that, then you're just going to have to look around. I mean, certainly any gun is better than nothing, but if you want to grab like a high point or something, but that's what I would recommend. Is try to get together at least 350 bucks and get a police surplus Glock for really cheap. It'll shave about 150, 200 bucks plus off the price, and you will get basically almost brand new gun in many cases. Or a lot of times they'll have wear from being like worn, but police don't fire their guns all that often. And so it won't have that many rounds through it, even if it's an older gun with some superficial cosmetic wear from being holstered and stuff repeatedly. The 40 caliber Glocks can have a 9mm barrel. Yeah, you can swap, and sometimes there are some surplus 9mm too, but it's much more common for the police to carry 40 cal, it seems like. What's up, High Desert Pioneer? Another Nevada resident in the house. There is a 38 made in the Philippines, 200 bucks. Machines are Smith & Wesson, I believe. Yeah, there are really cheap guns you can get out there, but I mean, like Glocks, obviously rock solid, nothing wrong with them. Not exciting. I always call them the Toyota Corolla firearms because they're not sexy, but there's absolutely nothing wrong with them, and they last forever. They're just bulletproof, for lack of a better word. And that in and of itself is appealing to me. I don't need them to be pretty per se. And there's so many parts out for them, so many magazines out there for them, that for shit the fan stuff specifically, that's useful as well. I do wish I had a 9mm pistol. The cost is the biggest issue for me for the difference between 9mm and 40 cal. I have no beef with the 40 caliber as a cartridge. I just feel like you're kind of getting the worst of both worlds between the 45 and the 9mm. If you really want that kind of beefy stopping power, just go with the 45. If you want cheaper and higher capacity, just go with the 9mm. You know, 9mm conversions not so reliable. Yeah, I don't think that conversions are usually the better way to go. When you factor in the cost, it's a little bit cheaper than buying a new gun, obviously, but all maybe getting new mags and dealing with any of the fickle issues and even a slight bit of reliability issue, it's better to save your money and then eventually get a new gun a few months later. They had some sort of 9mm Ruger carbine at a local store. Yeah, the Ruger Storm, I think it is, or CX Storm. They make a 9mm carbine. Ruger Storm carbine. CX4 Storm, yeah. But they might make others as well. Many Glock 17 and 19 sold as surplus. Exactly. Yeah, you can get them cheap. And if you need to replace a part on it, spring, the barrel's worn out or whatever, that's easy enough too. A Ruger PC carbine is 9mm, takes Ruger or Glock mags. Correct. Okay, yeah, the new one. Anyone know a custom 1911 builder that will make a 6-inch 460 roll-on for me? Jesse James might make one for you, but it'd probably be expensive. He makes them pretty sweet. He made a custom one for Trump. Let me find out, Real Human Being. Someone just posted a video on that a while back. You can just Google police surplus Glock trade-in. Recoil Gunworks. I think that's the one that I found before. Police trade-ins. You can go all manufacturers. Let's choose Glock. And we will go price low to high. Probably magazines first, but neighbor bought a Glock 40 cal surplus yesterday for $300. Exactly, $300. And also look around on there's actually a lot of people out there, gun enthusiasts even, who don't know this, but a couple websites you guys need to, 3 websites you guys need to be aware of if you're ever worried about buying, selling guns or ammo. Gunbroker.com, which is basically the eBay for guns and gun ammunition or gun parts, things like that. You have to have it obviously shipped to an FFL dealer, like a pawn shop or a gun store. But that usually only adds about $30 to the price, and they do the background check. So gunbroker.com for guns at least gives you a good idea of pricing. Even if you don't want to buy them, you can get a good equilibrium price there. Yeah, cheaper than dirt, has guns for sales. But gunbroker, ammoseek.com, AMMOSEEK.com gives you real-time ammo comparison prices all across the internet for any type of ammo. You can select for the casing type, the grains, whether it's a hollow point, what type of ammo, obviously, all that sort of stuff, the quantity, and it shows you price per round and just organizes by price or however you want it organized. So, and it's constantly updating as well. So ammoseek.com, gunbroker.com, and armslist.com is like the Craigslist for selling and buying firearms and firearm accessories. So if you wanted to sell locally or buy locally with cash, just a bill of sale or something instead of going through a dealer, that's where you would do it. You can organize by your region and things like that. So Arms List, it's like Craigslist. AmmoSeek for ammo, and Gunbroker is like the eBay for firearms. Definitely check those out. They're great for doing research, if nothing else, especially Gunbroker, because you can just look at what the actual, bottom line, this is what it would cost me to buy the gun brand new at like a nationwide equilibrium price. You're welcome, real human being. Yeah, but the one specifically, Recoil Gunworks, was the one that had some police trade-ins. Here we go. A Glock 42 380 for $319. A Glock 22 40 with night sights for $299. Bam. That's a deal. That's what you should get if you're on a budget. You'll pay about 30 to 40 bucks to have that shipped to your FFL dealer and do the background check and whatnot. So you're out the door $350, less than $350 for a Glock 40 cal. And they got others that are with night sights, which I strongly recommend getting night sights, especially if you're using it for a like a nightstand pistol or self-defense for the house, things like that. We have Glock 22s, and they have a Glock 17 here for $389, a little bit more, but depending on how much you spend, or you can save, you'll make that money back on ammo most likely if you're shooting a lot. If you're not shooting that much, I'd save the money and go with the 40 cal just because the gun is significantly cheaper. If you're going to actually be using it a lot at the range, you'll make that money up with the reduced cost of the 9mm ammunition. Yeah, I know Jesse James makes some sick custom 911s, but you'll probably be paying for it. I don't know many other people who make them specifically by name, but they're out there. If you just go on his Instagram and then check some of the tags that they use, and then you'll probably find other people who do it. He makes some like branded ammo and everything too. He's made some really cool custom 1911s. I don't know how to share pictures yet, but yeah, the one he did for President Trump is pretty badass. Yeah, you guys should look up pictures of that. Pretty wild stuff. Are you growing any vegetables, fruit this year? I plan on it. I actually planted some pineapple tops in pots that I started from store-bought pineapples, which is certainly possible. I've done that back in Florida. The problem with that is it takes about 2 years for them to start producing. My 1911 was made in 1943 with a U.S. Army stamp. That's pretty awesome. Hey, what's up, Colorado Biker Prepper? All right, so I've been going for like, where are we at here? An hour and 20 minutes almost. If you guys have any questions, get them in. I got a lot of things I want to finish up packing up my fishing kit so I can hopefully mail them out Monday, Tuesday at the latest, because I know I've been talking about it for a long-ass time, and I want to get them available for sale for you guys, for people who are interested. So if you guys have any last-minute questions, I'm going to be focusing really hard on trying to make some more videos once I get more used to my time management skills. What's your current prepper goal or project? I just did a video actually for my prepper goals for the year. Let me see if I have that here. 2019 goals. I'm going to do an update video soon because this quarter just ended, January, February, March, first quarter. So my major, I obviously have goals to continue prepping a lot, but I wanted to get to the full 6 months of food. This is for the year, goals for the year. full 6 months of food for 2 people in long-term storage exclusively, not counting the stuff I have in cans. Because right now I don't have that much in long-term storage. Most of it's in store to eat, eat what you store type situation, which is fine. But I actually prefer having long-term storage that I can stack away and forget about it. I want to get 2 courses each of at least 3 different antibiotics, more fire extinguishers, more pandemic gear. I did the trauma kit and much more staging of my preps and things like that. And then obviously a bug out vehicle. My car is getting old. I mean, it's been old for a while, but when I get a new I can't talk today. When I get a new vehicle, I want it to be something that's much more oriented towards being a bug out vehicle. So something with 4-wheel drive, and then not pimping it out, but making sure that it has all the features and stuff that I need. I'm stuck on 3 months long-term food. That's legit though. I mean, like, especially if you're talking about more than one person, but even if it's just one person, 3 months. And like I've told people before, that's 3 months. Most of the time when we say 3 months, we're talking about like if you eat nothing else, you're not even counting like killing a random pigeon, eating some cactus fruit, whatever. Like you have 3 months of food. That gives you 3 entire months to figure out some ways to get food. So even if during 3 months you can only find enough food scavenging for an extra month and a half, that means you already can go, your 3 months of food has allowed you to survive for 4.5, 5 months. So every extra meal you get is beneficial. And it's rare, luckily, for anything to happen that you would really need more than that anyway. So 5 people, yeah, 3 months for 5 people that's amazing. That's a lot of food. And you're doing great, obviously. And like I said, you have that much time now to get to collect even more food if there is any kind of emergency. Yep, the DHS recommends 6 months of preps now. I've done videos on that in the past, or mentioned at least. I would recommend amoxicillin, penicillin, and tetracycline. You can get the penicillin and tetracycline from the ranch. And yeah, there's the fish supply stores, things like that. I want to make sure I have the information on what type of courses you would take of which preferred antibiotic depending on the disease either. So like if you come down with cholera or something, which antibiotic would be best and how long you should take it and how much, things like that. And actually get that information, hard copy, because obviously in a situation where you would be dealing with that, you're probably not going to have any. I have gas masks and things, but I would like to get the surplus stuff. I'd much rather get some newer ones and upgrade my NBC kit. But I have a decent NBC kit, but the stuff is old, so I don't necessarily trust it all that much. Tetracycline is good for those penicillin allergies. Yeah, that's another thing to consider as well. Even stuff like latex allergies, getting nitrile gloves or latex-free nitrile gloves instead. And not have, because you could come across all sorts of allergic reactions that you don't normally have to worry about in everyday life, but could be a big problem in a shit the fan scenario. But yeah, in general, like, life's good, man. Having fun. The weather's warming up here, and just trying to find enough time in the day to do all the cool stuff that I want to do. It's good problems to have, I guess. That's why I never there's one thing someone can say that makes me completely basically lose respect for them as like a human being. And not necessarily that I hate them, but that I think that when they say this particular thing, it makes me think that they're just like an NPC, if you know what that means, or an empty meat suit. They're a non-being. And that's when anyone says any variation of, oh, I don't know what I would do without a job, or if I didn't have a job, or if I'm retired, I would be bored, I'd have to work, or something like that. It almost disgusts me when people say things like that, because I could write a list right now of 50 to 100 things that I wouldn't mind doing for a few hours a week each, just in terms of training, hobbies, enjoyment. And that's not even counting stuff like just basic chores and working out and all the stuff that you should be doing. And not even counting stuff like travel and adventuring and stuff like that, but just basic stuff like, oh, I wouldn't mind doing that for an hour or 2 a week. Wouldn't mind doing this an hour a day. I'd like to learn this language, do that for an hour a day. Like I could write at least 50 to 100 things. So it really bugs me when people are like, oh, I don't know if I'm retired, I'd be bored. I have to have a job. I'm like, oh, you are wasting this life, my friends. Yeah, April Fool's tomorrow, so watch out. There's gonna be a lot of goofiness out there. How do you plan on dealing with the high summer temps without electricity? Basically, I've gotten physically used to the temperatures. You just have to make sure you have enough water is the main thing. That's the main thing, is and clothing to deal with the sun itself, you know, loose kind of Lawrence of Arabia style stuff to put on if you need to, boonie hat, sunglasses, sun protection, and then having enough water to deal with it. I'm personally pretty well acclimated to it. I actually have gotten really, really bad at tolerating cold. I've gone completely like, my blood is super thin these days. But other than that, storing enough water and the right type of clothing are my main specific preps for dealing with the heat in the summer temps. Would you go into the library books to keep on hand? Also, how do you do security at your house besides just a gun and a dog? Yeah, I don't like to get too into my house security personally, but I can do a video on general good things to do. But yeah, I'll definitely do. I've done a book on, the last time I did a video on my survival library was years ago, probably like 6, 7 years ago. So I'll do another one. California's magazine law is back to normal. Yes, definitely. That's a win. I will take it. I don't even live in California, but I'd love to see the Constitution being upheld when it comes to gun rights or anything else for that matter. The 20 to 50 pound, yeah, I mean, that's another thing too for people like High Desert Pioneer and those who have a lot of people that you're trying to prep for cheaply. Get your basic preps away for, like you said, you have 3 months. An easy way to do it is just buy like 10, 50-pound bags of rice and just store them in buckets. You know, that's a massive amount of food. It's not ideal to just have rice or just beans or something like that, but it's so cheap and it will keep you alive. Especially if you make half your meals rice and the other half mixed in with, you're going to have plenty of nutrition. You know, if you take a multivitamin and get some meats here and there, forage for some wild edibles occasionally, kill a pigeon or whatever, like, yeah, for 6 months, you're not going to have any major issues. If you ate exclusively rice for 6 months, yeah, you might have problems. But even if half your calories are coming from rice, you're not going to have any major health issues as long as the rest of your calories are coming from a variety of sources that give you your macro and micronutrients that you need. So that's the thing I would do, is just pack in the cheap stuff, pasta, rice, beans, things like that. And then you can slowly work on fleshing out the variety, cans of whatever here and there. Spartans beat Duke Blue Devils. Oh, did they? There were some Virginia fans that were mad the other day because Duke beat them, I guess. Gators were knocked out a long time ago, and I don't follow basketball closely enough to keep up with it after that. I suggest looking into wholesale food distributors for cheap fruit preps. Yeah, that is an option as well. High Desert Pioneers should be focused on wheat berries and potato flakes, another good cheap way. Also, potato flakes are super lightweight, which is nice. And they're easy to reconstitute and whatnot, so those are great as well. I just prefer rice as well. I eat rice constantly. LDS Cannery is great as well. A little more expensive than just, I mean, they do rice and stuff like that, but yeah, they know exactly what they're doing. That's for sure. So if you're at all worried about packing up yourself well, they're going to be able to set you straight on that for sure. Hi there, Pink Brian is crazy, Brian. Well, this has been about an hour and a half, fairly long one. Yeah, technically a high rice diet can lead to diabetes, and well, not just rice. You're talking about high carbs, but if we're talking about half a year in a disaster scenario, it's not going to be an issue. I mean, there's people, the standard American diet has way more carbs in it, processed carbs, trash, than just half your calories coming from rice. And if you're also keeping the calories relatively low because you're like rationing it, and that's only half your calories are coming from rice, and you're talking about 6 months, less than a year time period, you're not going to have any significant issues. Per case of flour delivered to my door was $28 total. Soy. I don't fuck with soy. LDS tin cans of BPA. That's unfortunate. I specifically when I buy canned goods, buy the ones that the liners do not have BPA, or at least no added BPAs. It's another reason why I just don't like canned goods, and that's another reason why freeze dried can be good too, because it's literally just no preservatives, none of that stuff. No soy for males. Yeah. But anyways, guys, appreciate you guys watching. Once again, check out BattleBox. Got some cool gear from them. Go rewatch the video if you didn't see. I will make a video on this sweet takedown bow, hopefully sometime this week. Show you guys what that thing can do. I'm excited to try it out. Get on my mailing list if you want to be notified when I finally have these up for sale, the fish kits. Yeah, thank you, Caleb Block. Thanks, everyone, for watching. Please subscribe if you haven't already and click the like button. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll talk to you later.